Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to my new Leafs channel, Leafs Unfiltered. Now, if you guys have seen me before, my name is Matt. I have a channel called Racco Unfiltered. I've done Leafs videos in the past, guys. I've been a fan for over 25 plus years. I've been a fan my whole life. And now, if you guys want to see me have a couple meltdowns from the last Game 7 losses between Florida and Boston from a few years ago, go to my channel, Racco Unfiltered, and a bunch of other Leaf videos are there, guys. You guys can see me talk about the Leafs on that channel there, but I haven't really had a chance to talk much about the Leafs this season. Now, tonight, of course, the Maple Leafs defeated the St. Louis Blues 3-2 in overtime. Finally, the Leafs snapping their 5-game winless drought. Thank God, finally. Leafs getting in the win column. And they played pretty well tonight. Obviously, it was a low-event hockey game, not a crazy hockey game. Now, to start the game, of course, we hear that Matthew Knies doesn't play in this game, of course, an hour before puck drop. The Leafs are obviously missing 6 other guys on top of that. Guys like Stolarz, Tanev, Carlo, Matthews, Knies, like I mentioned there. It's really frustrating to see how many players have gone down to start the season. A lot of bloody injuries for the Maple Leafs. The most I've seen through the first 20 games in the last 10 years, I would say. So very frustrating, but the Leafs got to go out there and do their bloody jobs and get points and get wins. And it did start off very well in this game. William Nylander batting the puck up in the air, scoring on his own net. And even Jake McCabe just said it not long ago. It's like, oh boy, here we go again with another one of those games. But luckily enough, William Nylander didn't let that get to him, of course. Obviously later in the game as we saw. And then the Leafs were able to tie it up. Jake McCabe with the great shot off the point there. Beautiful shot to tie it up 1-1. And it was a pretty quiet game for most of the game, guys. And then after later on, in the second period, we saw Sammy Blais make a great pass to Steven Lorentz to make it 2-1 Maple Leafs, right? But the second period woes continued for the Leafs this season. Jake McCabe takes 2 bad penalties, and they weren't even really penalties, if you ask me. I think they were very soft penalty calls by the refs. So the refs make the call. Unfortunately, St. Louis scores on one of the power plays to tie it up 2-2. Just another frustrating sequence for the Maple Leafs. More second period woes for them, but I didn't think they had a horrible second period, but it wasn't a great second period, to say the least. Something that's been going on a lot this year for the Maple Leafs, of course. The third period, very quiet, low-event third period. Nothing much, very happy. Leafs did have some chances to score and obviously win the game in regulation, but both teams were struggling. They both needed a point, so it looked like near the end of that third, they just decided, let's get a point, go into overtime and decide there. And overtime was crap on top of it. St. Louis was waiting for the Leafs to press them. They controlled the puck most of the overtime period there, guys, and very low event there. Very frustrating until the last minute, of course, where we see John Tavares get caught in the corner there with 2 St. Louis Blues players and makes a beautiful backheel pass to Morgan Rielly. Rielly makes the great pass to Willie Nylander, and then William Nylander, absolutely filthy dangle on Jordan Binnington. Just absolutely nasty with the toe drag and then digging him out of his jockstrap. Just absolutely nasty. Really, William Nylander redeeming himself for that own goal to start the game with an absolutely nasty goal to get the Leafs the extra point and snapping their losing streak, guys, their winless streak. So it was a much needed win by the Toronto Maple Leafs, guys. And like I mentioned, 7 regulars out of the lineup. You got guys like Mermis and Troy Stecher, obviously the Leafs claiming him off waivers, having a really solid performance tonight. 13 minutes, guys. I thought he played really well with Mermis. You obviously had guys like Sammy Blais who had the assist, and he went to the locker room as well, so that wasn't good to see. Hopefully not another injury for the Maple Leafs. I liked Easton Cowan's game. He had a great opportunity to score. Went through the legs and hit the post, dangled a few guys there. So I liked Cowan's game. I thought he was playing well. Lorentz played like 15-plus minutes tonight. So he was very active. Michelli was okay. He took that stupid penalty in the third. Luckily, it didn't cost the Maple Leafs there, guys. But the most important thing is that the Leafs got the 2 points. Joe Woll again tonight. Solid performance. 27 saves, guys, on 29 shots. Back-to-back solid performances by Joseph Woll. It was not his fault that they lost against Chicago. Got left hanging on most goals in that game there, guys. So Joe Woll coming back is absolutely massive, especially with Stolarz on the IR right now, guys. Getting Joe Woll back at the perfect moment, and he's putting 2 solid performances, making some big saves, especially in that second period. Joe Woll made that sprawling save to keep that game tight, and he made some massive saves when it mattered most, guys. Joe Woll helped the Leafs get these 2 points tonight. Big reason why they won tonight, guys. And This is what the Leafs need to do. They got to grind down wins, improve defensively, because we've seen how brutal the Leafs have been defensively this year. Complete opposite of last year, guys. And that's the thing. Through 20 games this year, I think we can all agree the Leafs have been absolute dog shit. 9-9-2 through 20 games is just not the Leafs. The worst start in the last 10 years, it's something that we don't want to see. Now, I understand injuries and all that other stuff, but since Stoller's opened up his mouth, they've been playing like crap, giving up goals like crazy, even though they're scoring a lot. The amount of defensive errors, the amount of stupid penalties they're taking, it is unbloody acceptable if you guys ask me. And I'll tell you guys right now, and I'll keep it blunt with you. That's why this channel is unfiltered. I don't want to hear anybody coming onto this channel and saying, oh, that's what happens when you let 16 walk out the door, a 100-point player. Not a chance in hell will you ever hear me say 16 leaving is the reason why this team is struggling. That is BS. We have enough talent in that room there for this team to get to the playoffs and compete. The problem is that you got a lot of people out there who are going to point to that as the reason why they're struggling. No, the defensive errors is a key reason why. I get it that he was a 200-foot player and helped defensively on the PK, but that don't matter. The players that Treliving brought in, they got to perform. And that's why Treliving said today at the press conference, it's too vanilla. And he's right. He's right. This team is just, they're playing with too much vanilla. And he's bang on. They're not playing good enough. They haven't created an identity yet. And that's worrying. And that's not what playoff teams do. You need to establish an identity early on to the season and start performing well. And we have not seen that from the Maple Leafs the first 20 games of the season. They better buckle up and get their shit together, because I'm not going to put up with this 500 nonsense all bloody year. I'm telling you guys right now, a lot of Leaf fans are tired of this nonsense. And then if you got to watch this team compete for a wild card, nah, man, it's very frustrating to me if that's the case. So through 20 games, the team has not been good enough. Injuries has hurt them, obviously, but I think the players themselves on the ice have hurt themselves the most, with their play. It just ain't good enough. No excuses. You got a lot of veterans on this team here, okay? You got OEL, who's playing great right now. Guy's got 14 points through 20 games. He's having an incredible start to the year. Riley's playing okay. He's not doing well. He's not doing too bad, but he can be better. You're paying him 7.5 plus, okay? He's got to be better. Jake McCabe's got to be better. Losing Tanev kills us. That killed us. You lose him through injury. He comes back for one game, and then boom, he's out again on LTIR. The Leafs have been a bit unlucky to start the year. Yes, I totally acknowledge that, but they got to play better. It's as simple as. I think we can all agree on that, guys. Tonight was a good win for them against the Blues, but, going on a 5-game winless skid, that's not good enough. You can't have that. Okay, sure, they won like 3 to 4 games in a row, and then you have this losing streak. You can't have that much inconsistency with this hockey team if you want to compete in the playoffs and try to win a cup. That I don't think this team is going to be doing this year, guys, if you ask me. And Treliving acknowledged that they got to play better. Nobody's going to get traded, and no trade's going to come in through the door and help this team win. It's the guys in the locker room currently that aren't smarting up, okay? The guys like Joshua, Michelli, these guys got to step up. Treliving brought these guys in to step up. I don't expect Easton Talent to do much, but if he overexceeds expectations, great. We need this kid to perform. He is a really important player in the OHL. So I know it's the NHL, but we need Easton Talent to contribute. We need Michelli to contribute. Joshua, guys like Max Domi to contribute. We need the veterans to contribute, plus the young players to contribute. Speaking of young players as well, I like Jacob Quinlan's game tonight. I think he's a really nice young player, good skater. But man, oh man, he pissed me off in that second period. He's got to shoot the bloody puck. Shoot the bloody puck. I know it's his only second game in the NHL, but shoot the damn puck, kid. Other than that, the Leafs got the 2 points tonight, guys. Very positive for the win tonight, snapping the skid like I mentioned a few times, but this team has to play better on a more consistent basis. Berube said it in practice, telling these guys, you got to drive and drive hard. It's very simple. His game is very simple. Dump that bloody puck in north-south style and get physical and get into the corners and get dirty. This is a very simple type of style of hockey that this team looks uncomfortable playing with, but that is an excuse if you ask me if players are saying that. Because he was here last year, they won the division, they're just not putting in enough effort. And Treliving said that today as well, and they got to start putting in more of a bloody effort, guys. But Leafs get the 2 points tonight, snapping the skid. Let's hope they get another win on Thursday against the Blue Jackets. They better get their shit together and start playing some consistent hockey, because I don't want to see this garbage for another 6 months. I think we can all agree on that, guys. But leave your thoughts and opinions on this game tonight. Leave your thoughts and opinions on how the Leafs have played through the first 20 games of this year, guys. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Like this video, subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Leafs, go, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode of Leafs Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.